What if I told you the Middle East is closer to a regional war than at any point in the last decade? Missiles in the sky, diplomacy collapsing, leaders targeted. Tonight, we break down exactly why the United States and Israel are striking Iran, point by point, and what it means for the world. Stay with me, because every chapter in this story is more intense than the last. Number 1. Stopping Iran's nuclear program. For years, Israel has warned that Iran's nuclear program is an existential threat. The US shares that fear, believing Iran is edging closer to the capability, or at least the knowledge, to build a nuclear weapon. When negotiations stalled and intelligence suggested Iran was rebuilding key nuclear sites, Washington and Tel Aviv concluded that diplomacy had run out of road. The strikes were framed as a last resort attempt to slow or cripple Iran's nuclear progress before it crossed a point of no return. Number 2. Responding to failed diplomacy. Before the first missile was launched, there were 3 rounds of indirect talks between the US and Iran. All failed. American officials said Iran refused meaningful limits on its nuclear program, while Iran accused the US of making impossible demands. When the final round collapsed, the US shifted from negotiation to force, arguing that Iran's refusal to compromise left military pressure as the only remaining tool. This diplomatic breakdown became the immediate spark for escalation. Number 3. Targeting Iran's military leadership and capabilities. The strikes weren't random. They hit missile bases, drone factories, air defense systems, and Revolutionary Guard facilities, the backbone of Iran's military power. Israeli sources even claimed they attempted to target compounds linked to Iran's supreme leader. The strategy was clear: weaken Iran's command structure, disrupt its ability to retaliate, and send a message that its military infrastructure is vulnerable. This wasn't symbolic. Number 4. Preventing imminent threats to the US. The US justified its involvement by citing imminent threats to American personnel and bases across the Middle East. Intelligence reportedly suggested Iran was preparing attacks using missiles and drones. President Trump framed the operation as preemptive self-defense, saying the goal was to eliminate dangers to the American people. Whether those threats were truly imminent or strategically framed remains debated, but the justification shaped the narrative for US involvement. Number 5. Supporting internal pressure against Iran's government. Both Washington and Tel Aviv openly encouraged Iranian citizens to rise up against their government. The strikes were portrayed as weakening a regime already facing internal unrest. President Trump even urged Iranians to take over your government, signaling that the operation wasn't just military, it was political. Israel echoed this, arguing that weakening the regime could empower the population. This added a layer of psychological warfare to the conflict. Number 6. Responding to Iran's regional activities. Iran's influence stretches across the Middle East through proxy groups, missile networks, and drone operations. The US and Israel see this as a destabilizing force that threatens Israel, Gulf states, and American bases. By striking facilities tied to these regional operations, the goal was to reduce Iran's ability to project power. Iran's retaliation, launching missiles at Israel and US installations in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar, showed just how wide the battlefield really is. Number 7. Escalation. After civilian casualties and regional attacks. Iran reported that US-Israeli strikes hit civilian areas, including a girls' school, killing dozens. Whether intentional or collateral, the impact was immediate. Iran launched ballistic missiles at multiple countries, hosting US troops. This cycle of strike and counterstrike deepened the conflict and reinforced the US-Israeli argument that Iran's military reach poses a broad regional threat. Each attack made the next one more likely. Number 8. Long-term strategic alignment between the US and Israel. This operation wasn't improvised. It was the result of months of joint planning. The US and Israel have long shared the goal of containing Iran's power. Israel sees Iran as its primary threat. The US sees Iran as a destabilizing force. Together, they coordinated strikes to weaken Iran's military, limit nuclear development, and reinforce deterrence. This alignment is strategic, long-term, and unlikely to change anytime soon. The strikes on Iran aren't just another headline. They're part of a much larger geopolitical chess match. Nuclear fears, failed diplomacy, regional power struggles, and political pressure all collide in this moment. If you want a breakdown of what happens next, from possible retaliation to the risk of a wider war, tell me and I'll make a follow-up episode.